Donovan Mitchell-less Cavs wanted all the smoke. All right, let's get to the highlights, y'all. Cade Cunningham and the Pistons facing off against the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell, as mentioned, missing the 4th straight game with that groin injury. First quarter here. All right, Jalen Duren.
Yeah, he showed up. He showed up. Nice highlight right there.
Every part of that. Second quarter now. Come on, spin move.
Yeah, that's what they need from Evan Mobley, to be aggressive and to be one of those post players that cannot be guarded in the Eastern Conference.
2:30 left. The beard.
That's what he does. That step back is patented.
Beard. All right, we go to the 4th quarter now. How about a little assist from the beard over Jaylon Tyson?
Oh, he had himself a night.
Yeah, 22 points, 5 3-pointers.
Yep.
Insane. A little later. Ooh, sorry, Asar.
Hey.
Okay, alley-oop.
Those are my favorite players, the twins, Asar. So as a Rockets fan,
Top square.
I always support both of them.
Oh,
Rejected. Okay, two-way.
not up in here.
Two-way, Cade.
Cade said, I got a little something for you. Next possession. Woo! From the wing. Come on, Mobley.
Yeah, that's what you want to see, right? Yep.
3 minutes left in the 4th.
Close game still.
That is a big, strong dude.
He had a double-double, 24 points, 14 boards.
Yeah, best performance for the Pistons.
Beep, beep.
Oh,
Meat. It's meat.
meat. Is it meat? We got to get the sound effects correct, guys. Here we go. And the Cavs got the win 113 to 109. All right, the Cavs have been one of the hottest teams in the league since acquiring Harden, winning 9 of 12 games since he joined. They have scored almost 120 points per 100 possessions, second best in the NBA in that time. All right, so James Harden and Evan Mobley both scored 18 points. Jalen Johnson just added 22. Hi, Tim. Good to see you.
Howdy, MJ.
What did you learn about the Cavs in this very impressive win over the top-seeded Pistons?
Well, and especially impressive with Donovan Mitchell out, and James Harden didn't have a great shooting night, and they still put up 113 points. Jalen Tyson, as you said, having a breakout season. Dennis Schroeder, though, didn't, obviously not as big a splash as James Harden in the trade market, but really helped Detroit late last year.
Yeah.
Really helped Cleveland in this one.
Yeah, he absolutely did. To me, I think what's fascinating is on paper, I was going back and forth all day. Who is the most talented team on paper at full strength in the Eastern Conference? And it was hard for me to make a case against the Cleveland Cavaliers. You have an 11-time All-Star in James Harden, who's currently number 4 with assists per game, right? Donovan Mitchell, he's having a career year. I know he sat out, but 29 points per game. But most importantly, everyone's eyes are on the post players. And I know some left early last night, but still, Evan Mobley, when he is efficient, that is the best version of Evan Mobley. And lastly, I'll say this, Jarrett Allen, he is averaging 19 and 10 on 73% shooting, playing alongside James Harden. So that collection of talent, to me, has the most upside. Now, do they have the most championship experience, or do we have the most belief in them when it comes to a championship? Maybe not, but right now, they look like one of those teams to beat.
Yeah, when you have a player who elevates everybody else, it makes a huge difference. On the other side, the Detroit struggled with shooting the ball. Cade was 4 of 16 from the field, including 0 for 7 in the paint. Tim, how are the Cavs really able to slow him down?
Well, and you talk about Mobley and Allen, 4-16, that is a credit to them.
Yeah.
And look, Cade has struggled sometimes against elite rim protection. 4-16 here, 5 of 26 in that recent loss to Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs. He's had a couple other really rough shooting performances this year against the Cavs. And we all understand the Pistons have some real spacing challenges. They have the challenge of not having another dynamic creator other than Cade Cunningham. He's going to have to play in crowds, and that might mean some nights that aren't real pretty in terms of his field goal percentage.
Yeah, he's only one dude, can only do but so much for that squad. He's trying, though. He definitely does. All right, coming up, did you hear the not-till... We now welcome in our WNBA insider, Alexa Philippou. Alexa, with all of this in flux and all the things that have happened in the past 24 hours, what does this mean for the players?
Yeah, MJ, I think what's become apparent is that there's kind of some factions that have developed in the player body and some different opinions on how to move forward, not really coming to a consensus at this point. And when you see this letter specifically from Brianna Stewart and Kelsey Plum, their specific concerns that they articulated were that they don't feel like they've had an adequate seat at the table in negotiations. The specifics they mentioned were there being a communication breakdown, requesting a slew of information that they were not provided by the PA, and that when, quote, we and other players have attempted to express concerns about negotiations, we have been made to feel as though we are acting against the interests of the PA, end quote. So there was a player call last night to discuss the issues that were expressed in this letter. I think they really the players had to hash things out and try to get on the same page as they hopes to figure out a new way forward to try and come up with what a next counter proposal would look like to the league following the league's proposal from Sunday night.
So you mentioned the counter proposal. What would the players be weighing in this counter?
I think so much of this still comes down to revenue share. And you have, the differences in opinions on what system should be implemented, what percentage of revenue should go to the players. But to me, I see the breakdown as, you have players like Brianna Stewart and Kelsey Plum who are saying, why don't we just negotiate? In their view, this is what they've called in that letter a pragmatic approach, basically negotiate off the league's proposal, try to get more out of it, not just accept the deal as is. And you have seen that as the result of that player survey. 84% of those respondents did not want to take the deal as is, but you have that maybe one group that's saying let's negotiate off that proposal versus another perhaps group of players who feels like they want to hold their ground and stick with that gross revenue model and closer to 26% of revenue split that they've been asking for. So that's what I'll be looking for is to see kind of what side more or less is reflected in that next proposal.
All right, Alexa, a busy day for you for sure. We'll let you get back to it. Thanks for joining us and keeping us informed. Okay, we now welcome in Vice President of the WNBPA's Executive Committee, Alicia Clark. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us. And earlier today, the union released the results of the WNBPA survey on the league's latest proposal. 84% of the respondents said they would not accept the term. What does this mean moving forward?
I think it just continues to illustrate what the majority feels. We are at a place where we feel like the proposals the leagues have sent haven't been good ones. And, we want to continue to fight for what we know we deserve. And we hope that at some point the league decides to have that same, sentiment towards us as well through the proposals that they send.
Now, is a strike still on the table for the players?
I mean, when you look at the vote that we took back in December, we didn't take that lightly at all. And it was almost a unanimous vote for yes, that, a strike is on the table. And so as a union, we're going to use every tool that we have in our pocket to be able to fight and get what we know we deserve. So it's very much still on the table. And that is something that I think is clear as we continue to have these conversations with our union and the players in the league.
All right, Alicia Clark, thank you so much for your insight and for joining us here on NBA
Thanks.
Today. All right, we're approaching crunch time in these negotiations. The WNBA draft is scheduled for April 13th, and then the preseason is slated to begin just 12 days later. The regular season is scheduled to start on May 8th. That's just over 2 months from today. All right, Janae, what's your reaction to the survey and, of course, the statement that we saw there from the WNBPA?
I know that there's a lot of information going back and forth right now, and that most know that my sister is president of the Players Association, but I also served on the executive committee of the last CBA, the 2020 CBA. So especially now I try to stick to the facts. And when I was joining the union, they really immediately taught us the history of labor negotiations, and they taught us that both sides have weapons. Now, the league has one weapon, and that is, one, having the books, meaning you can claim that hundreds of millions of dollars are lost. But this is also important to note that this is the first time that they saw a revenue trigger actually be achieved as well. Deadlines. The league has deadlines where they try to instill panic in some ways. March 10th is the deadline that people are up against. And then, of course, the goal is to divide the union, right? Those are the league's tactics. Now, the union's tactic is the ability to have a strike, right? Or a refusal of services. And at this point, I think that the numbers show through 84% of the players voting that they do not want to accept the current league's proposal. That sort of reflects, in my opinion, probably the majority thought in the players. And lastly, I'll just say this. When we were in December in 2020, there was a point where, all right, the union felt like we pushed as far as we could go, and then the league felt like they pushed as far as they could go. But then, in the midst of it all, the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, at that time, reached out directly to the union and said, hey, how can we speak the same languages and get on the same page so that we can have basketball happen? And I do believe that what has transpired over the last year or so, we've seen the comments sparked by, Nafisa Collier and the relationship with the players being a little bit at more friction with the commissioner. That has really made this compromising, because you really need that leader in this moment to be able to advocate or at least reach and have a relationship with players to say, hey, this is what the league wants. How can we get to where we need to go? And so there are many things at play, many weapons being used, but right now the players are saying that 84% of them, they will not accept this proposal. You want to keep negotiating.
Yeah, the definition of standing 10 toes down in these negotiations for sure. All right, Shanae. Last night,